Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. We are back with the TED Show. Today I have a very special guest, Jeff Hawk. He's a veteran. Thank you for your service.
Thank
And
you.
he does a lot with our veteran community. And we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is helping veterans get back on their feet. There's so much work that needs to be done, and there's so many services that are lacking. So this is just a cause near and dear to my heart. So thank you, Jeff, for being on the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, so people love origin story. We talked about that a little bit before we went live. They want to get to know Jeff. So tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I was born in Virginia, spent a good chunk of my life between Kentucky and Florida. And then, right out of high school, I joined the military, where I met my wife, who I'm currently married to. We met in Iraq. And I did about 10 years until I was deemed not mission capable anymore after suffering combat wounds. So I came home, retired, and we moved here to Florida and continue to serve our community.
And so what was that like? I'm assuming that the motivation from this obviously comes from personal experience of trying to maneuver through the system, trying to figure out how to transition from a full 10 years of military life, which is as many times as you say it out loud, people still don't understand it's completely different, to civilian life. It's a different world here. And that just because you have an amazing talent in the military, it's very difficult for the corporate world to figure out how to translate that. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
So, it is a very hard journey to transition from something, you're used to getting up every day at a certain time. Okay, you've got PT formation at 6 o'clock. You got to salute the flag when they raise it in the morning. And then, you're constantly training for the combat zone. I mean, we train to fight. We train to do our jobs. And then when you're retired, all of a sudden, it's where do you go? For me, I was lucky. One of the jobs I did in the military was I was an audio engineer in the U.S. Army Band. I have an audio background of over 20 years. So, I was able to, when I retired, get a job working at Universal Studios as an audio engineer. But I never felt comfortable there,
Right.
And so I spent a good majority of my time, and I still do, helping veterans navigate their way through the VA system. I fought for almost 8 years to get all the benefits that I'm entitled to. And so that's what I do. I help veterans do that. We, being an officer over at the American Legion in Kissimmee, Florida, we had a veteran over the summer whose house was just in complete disarray. And he was going through some hard things, ended up in the VA for a couple months. And we went in after being contacted by a local church and completely remodeled the inside of his house. So when he came home, he basically had a brand new home.
Yeah. I think that we don't understand, if you haven't been involved in it or you don't do any kind of advocacy for it. When you say things like it took 8 months to get all of your own benefit, 8 years to get all of your own benefits, it's mind-boggling, because you think, all right, you've served our country. To me, that's the ultimate sacrifice, one way or another. It's a giant sacrifice. And so for you to have to fight to get anything that is yours for your service, for all of the good that you did for our country, just blows my mind. And I think people don't realize how difficult it can be. Remember, I'm preaching to them, not you. You're coming back. You've got fatigue. You're in a new place. You're in a new world that you're not used to. Now you're having to fight to get benefits that you earned and deserve. And it's almost like you have to fight for things that you never dreamed that you would have to fight for. And so that also becomes exhausting. Then trying to find a job, build a career, build a life after the military sounds like it would be all peachy keen and easy. It's just not.
No, it's really not. I deal with PTSD on a daily basis from things I've seen in the combat zone. I'm fortunate enough that I have a very strong support network. Like I said, I met my wife in a combat zone. So she knows, what I go through. We've gone through it together. And it does. It takes a long time. For I would say a good year after getting out of the military, I didn't like to leave my house, and I taught myself how to reintegrate myself back into society, deal with the problems I have every day, but also be able to help veterans that may not be as fortunate as me to get through it. It's really hard when if you're a veteran that has lost a limb. I've got friends that they've been out 10 years and may have lost a leg, and to this day they still tell me, oh, it's weird, putting on a shoe when I can't feel my foot. And it's hard. It's hard, and that's why we're here. That's why I do what I do.
So tell me what people can, like you mentioned the one project where you went in and remodeled for that hero. Tell us what can people on the outside do to help? What can we do to embrace what you're trying to do? Because I think the need is so great. I can't talk about it enough on the show because I know it firsthand that the need is just so great, and that those are the people we hear about. There are people who are just going through this alone, don't have the support system, don't know to access a Jeff Hawk, don't know how to go up against when they're told no for 6-8 years, how to maneuver through that. So what can we do to help you in your efforts?
So the biggest thing, the biggest message I tell everyone, and it came same with the house. We may have stopped serving our country, but we will never stop serving our community. If you know a veteran that's in need, first of all, reach out, check on them, make sure they're okay. 22 veterans a day, more than 22 veterans a day, commit suicide every day. And it's a shame because we have veterans out there sitting in the VA system waiting to be seen. And that's definitely something that needs to be worked on. But, at the same time, these veterans, they don't know it, but they can reach out to the American Legion, the VFW, the DAV, the AMVETS. That's what these organizations are there for. And there's people like myself, my commander, Joe Marcagiani, who's the commander at the post. This is what we do. We assist these veterans and make sure that they get the benefits they deserve. Because you're right, you would think after serving your country, you get hurt, you come out, you retire, oh, here's all your benefits. No, it doesn't work that way. We have to prove ourselves to doctors all the time.
It's such an interesting challenge when you're looking from the outside in. If you were dealing with a normal corporation, you would think that you would get the louder you screamed, the more you'd get. But remember, you're dealing with the government. I know you know that. And so when you're dealing with the government system, you scream as loud as you want. To make it move is almost impossible. And so it isn't, you can't apply basic business logic or basic common sense to getting the help for the veterans and helping them out and getting them their benefits that you would normally do in any other circumstance. You'd be like, well, just go to the president. Well, you're not going to get anywhere going that route. You really have to figure out how to best maneuver it. And even if you are a persistent person, someone who's got the support system like you, look how long it took for you to get those benefits. What do veterans do? What do you think some of the things are? Because when you came out, you said you had a support system, but you still suffer from PTSD. What are some of the things when veterans get out that they can do to help with the transition, to help go, all right, I'm out now. Now here are some things that maybe I should work on to get used to help me maneuver through.
So the biggest thing is in the military, we all have what's called an MOS. It's a military occupational specialty. And it's basically your job. When I first went into the military, I was a mechanic. And then I became a communication specialist where, I climbed telephone poles and put up telephone lines. And those are great because those are skills you can use outside. A lot of veterans don't realize that your job will actually translate into the civilian world. They do have programs through the VA called Voc Rehab. And what they do is they'll take your particular skill, like, for instance, mine, when I was we call them cable dogs in the military. And, I was I was the guys that climbed all the telephone poles and put up lines and all. But we can, you can get certified in fiber optic splicing, underwater splicing, and stuff like that, and use that in the civilian world. So I think that's something that, I wish when these veterans are transitioning out of the military, they're made aware of more, that you do have options to continue doing what you did in the military in the civilian life.
Absolutely. All right, so I put your website there, jeffhawk.com. So I just want to remind people that that's down at the bottom. What was it about public office that interested you?
So, like I actually just left another interview and had to drive all the way home so I could make it in time for this one. So it was kind of fun. But we were talking about it there too. Like I said earlier, just because we stop our military service doesn't mean our service ends. My oath of enlistment will die the day I die. And, I've seen a lot of problems in my community with, bad politics, basically. And I'm not a politician by any example. Everyone tells me, well, you look like a politician. You wear a nice shirt and jacket and everything like that. But, no, I prefer to be on my motorcycle riding and having fun. But there comes a time where, my call to service comes back and I have to go and serve my community again. And that's what got me into the politics of it is my community has just been left to the wayside for too long. So I'm stepping up to put my voice and my citizens' voice back in the community.
And what are you currently running for?
I am running for Osceola County Commissioner in District 3, which is in Poinciana, the Poinciana area of Osceola County.
I always like to ask this too. When anybody's taking on that challenge or that need, or they have a want to be involved in the community, when they get to the public office level, that's a whole different thing. So what made you choose county commission as kind of a starting point for that? Was there a reason? Do you feel like that you could make a bigger impact starting there?
Well, originally I had been asked to run for the local city council, mayor, vice mayor, and unfortunately I lived just outside of city limits. And oh, hey, my brother's watching. That's kind of funny.
Hi, Ben.
Ben is also a combat veteran as well. Yeah, so the only option I had was House of Representatives, or up in Tallahassee, or County Commission, and I thought about it for 6 or 7 months before I really threw my hat into it and said, you know what, let me start here. And my wife said it ends here, but you never know. I might eventually run for House of Representatives and see where it goes, but everyone's got to start somewhere. But I do feel at a county commission seat, I can do a lot more for my community than I would be at a city level.
I think it's just so important whenever you feel that call on your heart and you want to do more. The challenges, like you've probably experienced, running for public office is no walk in the park. It's definitely got its challenges. So big kudos for you for taking the risk and getting out there and wanting to do more. All right. So what's the best way for people to reach you? What if they want to get involved with, want to help veterans? What if they have a project or a vet that they'd love to put you in touch with?
So they can reach me on my cell phone. It's 407-744-5714. They can reach me on my website, jeffhawk.com. Obviously, it is my campaign page, but my cell phone number is on there. My email address is on there. And, just like Ben can tell you and any of the veterans that I served with, my phone is on 24 hours a day. If you are a veteran and you need someone to talk to, even if it's 2 a.m, call me. I will get a cup of coffee and go sit out back, and I will talk to you until you're done talking.
And and that's beautiful, because a lot of times they don't have the support system you were talking about, or if they do, they don't have a spouse or significant other who was in the same sort of scenario as them. And so that also creates a different thing. You can have the best support system in the world, but if they don't have a concept of what you went through, it can be a challenge for that relationship. I want to,
Correct.
Eileen Skates put a giant little wonderful post on there just saying big kudos and how much they fight for our veterans. Thank you, Eileen, for that. We appreciate you. And honestly, if there's a vet out there that has a business that wants to promote it here, that has a project that wants to promote it here, please, you are always welcome on the TED Show. We'll promote your business. All you have to do is reach out to me and we'll get you all set up. Jeff, thank you for all you do in your community. I wish you the best of luck with your race and all of your great work. Please let us know how we can help you, and you're welcome back on the TED Show anytime.
I will. Thank you so much for having me, Ted. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Been such a pleasure. All right, guys, reach out to Jeff. He told you his phone number, but there's his website. And of course, you can find him through me if you need him. Thanks again, man.